Welcome, eternal transfer. Chosen ones, lean in for a moment. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble onto this message by curiosity or coincidence. Heaven has synchronized your steps, tuned your spirit, and brought you into this exact moment with divine precision. Chosen one, something sacred is unfolding around you, something that has been building quietly in the unseen, waiting for the alignment of this very hour. You are standing on the threshold of a supernatural financial breakthrough, a divine transfer of provision, clarity, and elevation that only heaven could orchestrate. What once felt delayed is accelerating. What once felt distant is drawing near. What once felt hidden is beginning to break the surface. The ancient word spoken in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, echoes over your life. Even now, the vision waits for an appointed time. Though it seems slow, wait for it will come and it will not delay. Chosen one, you have stepped into that appointed time. Feel the atmosphere around you shifting. Feel your spirit awakening. This is not just the start of a video. This is a prophetic ignition, a stirring from the throne room calling you to pay attention, to expect, to receive. Chosen one, prepare your heart. Heaven is about to speak. Chosen ones, now that your spirit has been opened, I need you to lean in with even greater awareness. What is happening inside you right now is not imagination. It is not emotional hype. It is the trembling of destiny, the vibration of a supernatural shift beginning to form around your life. Chosen one, heaven is closer to you in this moment than you realize. The atmosphere around you is not ordinary. There is movement in the unseen, alignment in the invisible, an acceleration in the realm of the spirit. And if you feel that pull in your chest, that warmth in your spirit, or that sudden clarity in your thoughts, understand this: it is heaven signaling that the divine transfer has begun. I know this feeling well. Chosen one, I've lived through seasons where everything looked still on the outside, while inside, my spirit was being stirred, awakened, repositioned. There were days when I didn't have the answers, nights when I questioned my timing, moments when I felt like the breakthrough was slipping away. Yet beneath all of that, there was a quiet whisper, an unshakable knowing that something was shifting. At that time, I didn't have language for it, but now I recognize it. It was heaven preparing me for a transition I couldn't yet see, and that is exactly what is happening to you right now. Chosen one, sometimes the greatest moves of God begin in silence, not in thunder, not in flashes of light, but in a subtle nudge, a persistent stirring, a restlessness that refuses to let you settle where you are. And that restlessness is a sign that your current level can no longer contain who you are becoming. The old systems, the old limitations, the old versions of you, they don't fit anymore. That is why you've been feeling this internal shift. It is heaven loosening the ground beneath your feet so you can rise into what was always meant for you. But here, this supernatural transfers rarely begin with visible evidence. They begin with alignment. They begin when your spirit wakes up and starts recognizing what your natural eyes cannot yet see. They begin when heaven whispers, "Prepare yourself, something is coming." And chosen one, heaven is whispering that over your life right now. Let me make this personal for you and look back at your life over the past few months. Notice how certain things started falling away. Relationships you thought were stable, opportunities you thought were secure, routines you thought would last forever. At first, it felt like loss, but now you can see it. Heaven was clearing space. Heaven was pruning. Heaven was removing what could not follow you into the next season. I remember walking through a similar pruning in my own journey. It felt brutal. It felt confusing. It felt lonely. But looking back, I see that it was the greatest mercy God ever extended to me. because everything he removed was something that would have hindered the blessing that was coming. Chosen ones, your pruning was preparation, your delay was development, your silence was shaping. Heaven has not been punishing you, it has been preparing you. And now the preparation is reaching its completion. The atmosphere is ripe, the alignment is set, the shift has already begun. Feel this truth: you are about to step into a season where what you lost will be replaced with greater, where what was locked will open, where what was stagnant will flow. Heaven is releasing clarity, provision, insight, financial elevation, partnerships aligned with purpose. Doors that were once welded shut will swing open with ease, because it is your appointed time. Chosen ones, hear me: what is coming toward you is not random. It is not luck. It is not chance. It is the manifestation of every tear, every prayer, every moment you stayed faithful, even when you felt forgotten. Heaven never forgets what you sow in faith, and now heaven is about to return it in overflow. Stay with me. What I'm about to reveal next will break open your understanding of why the warfare was so intense, and why heaven has chosen this moment to elevate you. Chosen ones, listen closely, because what I am about to reveal will connect every unanswered question you have carried in your spirit. You have wondered why the pressure intensified right before this moment. You have questioned why certain things seemed to crumble even while you were praying faithfully. You have asked yourself why the warfare became so heavy at the very same time your hunger for breakthrough grew stronger. Chosen one, the answer is simple: the enemy always attacks what heaven is about to elevate. Before every divine transfer, there is a spiritual resistance. Before every supernatural promotion, there is a shaking, not to destroy you, but to detach you from what cannot go with you. I have lived through this cycle many times. Every time heaven was preparing to expand my life, whether in finances, purpose, clarity, relationships, or spiritual authority. The warfare always heightened first. At the time, I didn't understand it. I thought something was wrong. I questioned myself, my decisions, even my prayers. But now I see it clearly. The shaking was the signal that heaven was near. Chosen ones, Timon, your shaking was a sign that the supernatural was moving toward you. The warfare was confirmation, not contradiction. The pressure was proof that your blessing had entered the atmosphere. When heaven releases something destined for you, the spiritual realm reacts, sometimes violently, not because you are weak, but because you are becoming dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Think about it. The enemy does not fight empty vessels. He fights carriers of destiny. He doesn't chase those who are distracted. He chases those who are aligning. He doesn't attack where nothing is growing. He attacks where heaven is planting. And you, chosen one, have become fertile ground for breakthrough. That is why your spirit has been targeted. That is why your dreams have been stirred. That is why your sleep has been interrupted. That is why your emotions have been unpredictable. You are standing at the edge of a spiritual promotion, and heaven has marked you for elevation. But here is the part you need to understand when heaven marks you. Everything in your environment must adjust. People shift, circumstances shift, opportunities shift, even your inner world shifts. And these shifts don't always feel gentle. They feel like loss. They feel like detachment. They feel like disruption. Yet spiritually, these shifts are alignment, not abandonment. They are God removing noise so you can hear instruction. They are God removing distractions so you can receive provision. They are God removing counterfeits so the authentic can enter. Let me speak from my own journey. There was a time when I thought everything around me was falling apart. Doors closed, people disappeared, opportunities dried up. I couldn't understand it. I said, God, how can this be preparation? It feels like collapse. But what I didn't realize was that heaven was rearranging my life so I could step into what I had prayed for. when the blessing finally appeared. I understood nothing I got lost could have survived the level I was rising into, and the same is true for you. Chosen one, your loss was not loss, it was clearing. Your silence was not silence, it was instruction. Your shaking was not punishment, it was positioning. Chosen ones, heaven is now positioning you where provision can find you. And this next truth may stretch your spirit, but hear it, the blessing is already released, not coming. Not pending, released. The shift you feel is not anticipation. It is manifestation beginning to surface. You are stepping into a supernatural financial transfer that will not just change your situation, but elevate your identity. You will not think the same, walk the same, pray the same, or expect the same. Heaven is giving you access to what was once withheld because now you are spiritually mature enough to carry it without losing yourself. Chosen ones. The stage is set, the atmosphere is charged, the angelic realm is active, and the next segment will reveal why heaven waited until this exact moment, not earlier, not later, to open the gates of divine overflow over your life. Chosen ones, lean in, because what I am about to reveal is the piece that heaven has been waiting for you to finally understand. Everything in your life, every delay, every loss, every closed door, every moment you felt unseen was leading you to this exact turning point. And now that you are here, your spirit must recognize the magnitude of what is unfolding around you. Chosen one, heaven did not withhold from you. Heaven was building you. There is a difference. If God had released the blessing before your spirit was strengthened, it would have drowned you. If he had opened the door before your discernment matured, you would have trusted the wrong voices. If he had sent the financial overflow before you were purified from emotional impulses, you would have invested in the wrong places, with the wrong people, for the wrong reasons. Heaven wasn't delaying your blessing. He was developing your capacity to carry it. I know this truth personally. There was a season where I begged God for increase. I cried for breakthrough. I pleaded for clarity. But every prayer felt like it disappeared into the sky. Every request seemed unanswered. I felt overlooked, forgotten, left in the waiting room while others walked into blessings we believed were also meant for me. But looking back, I can see what I couldn't see. Then God wasn't silent. He was strengthening me. God wasn't ignoring me. He was preparing me. God wasn't saying no. He was saying not yet. And chosen ones, that is exactly what he has been doing with you. You had to learn how to stop chasing what was never meant to stay. You had to learn how to stand even when you didn't feel supported. You had to learn how to hear God in silence, not just in miracles. You had to learn how to obey even when obedience cost you something. Because what heaven is delivering to you now requires stability, not emotion, vision, not reaction, wisdom, not impulse. Chosen one, listen closely. This blessing is not like the others. This is not a temporary opportunity. This is not a momentary breakthrough. This is not a small shift. This is a foundational transfer, a supernatural repositioning that will change the trajectory of your next decade. Heaven is not simply giving you resources. Heaven is giving you authority. Not just more money, more influence, not just new connections, divine alliances, not just open doors, territorial access. This is why the warfare intensified. This is why the emotional pressure increased. This is why old patterns resurfaced to be broken. Heaven was clearing the old so the new could be established. And chosen ones, here is the mystery. The blessing was always ready, but you had to become ready for the blessing. Just as a tree must mature before it can sustain the weight of fruit, your spirit had to mature so you could sustain the weight of what heaven is pouring out. This is why your character was tested. This is why your patience stretched. This is why your discernment sharpened. Heaven wasn't trying to break you. He was anchoring you. Because what is coming requires a deeper root, and you have it now. Chosen ones. Can you feel it? The internal shift, the alignment in your chest, the quiet certainty replacing the old fear. That is the sign that heaven is no longer preparing you. Heaven is positioning you. The supernatural financial transfer you are stepping into is not just for survival. It is for assignment. You will be entrusted with resources because you have proven that even in lack, you stayed faithful, even in confusion. You remained surrendered, even in disappointment. You still said, God, I trust you. People who crumble in the waiting cannot carry the weight of kingdom wealth. But you, chosen one, endured. And because you endured, you are now stepping into what the endurance was for. And in the next segment, I will reveal the prophetic truth that ties it all together, why heaven chose you, specifically you, to carry this mantle of supernatural increase in this exact season. Chosen ones, breathe for a moment, because what I am about to speak into your spirit is the revelation that unlocks why heaven has chosen you. Not your sibling, not your friend, not the people who seemed more qualified, more connected, or more prepared on the outside. Chosen one, heaven selected you because you were the only one in your bloodline willing to say yes when everyone else said no. You were the one who refused to repeat the patterns that destroyed those who came before you. You were the one who kept your heart tender even after betrayal. You were the one who held on to faith even when your circumstances were screaming the opposite. You were the one who carried compassion when others chose bitterness. Heaven does not choose the perfect. Heaven chooses the willing. And you, chosen one, have been willing. You didn't understand it at the time, but every battle you survived was not random. Every heartbreak had purpose. Every season of isolation was training. Every time God stripped something away, He was shaping you for this mantle. People around you saw loss. Heaven saw refinement. People saw delay. Heaven saw development. People saw you breaking. Heaven saw you becoming. And now the becoming is complete. Now you are stepping into identity, authority, and supernatural provision that were written for you before you took your first breath. Chosen ones. There is something else you must understand, something sacred. Your calling is not small. Your assignment is not average. Your impact is not limited to your personal world. You have been chosen as a breaker in your lineage, a restorer, a carrier of divine wealth, not just financial wealth, but spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, generational wealth. You were chosen to reverse cycles of poverty, cycles of instability, cycles of fear, cycles of limitation, cycles of spiritual blindness. You were chosen to build what no one else in your family had the courage to build, to see what no one else had the eyes to see, to step into what no one else had the faith to pursue. And because the assignment is heavy and the preparation felt heavy, because the mantle is great, the pressure was great, because the blessing is massive, the warfare was massive. Chosen one, heaven doesn't waste battles. Heaven doesn't allow storms without strategy. Heaven doesn't permit loss unless the return will be multiplied. That's why everything you lost is coming back, but not in the form you remember. It is coming back transformed, refined, expanded. It is coming back as access, as authority, as inheritance, as divine transfer. And this transfer is not simply material, it is spiritual, it is generational, it is prophetic. Chosen ones. There is a reason the enemy fought you harder than others. It wasn't your personality. It wasn't your mistakes. It wasn't your weakness. It was your calling. The mantle you carry in the spirit realm has been seen by darkness long before it manifested in the natural. The enemy knew the moment you awakened, the moment you aligned, the moment you recognized who you were, the entire spiritual landscape around you would shift. This is why he tried to break you early. This is why he sent attackers before you even knew you were chosen. This is why you were targeted as a child, as a teenager, in your early adulthood. He saw the mantle before you did. He saw the glow before you did. He saw the calling before you did. But here you are, still standing, still anointed, still aligned, still chosen. That is proof that your mission cannot be stopped. And chosen ones, here is the most powerful truth of all. Your breakthrough is not arriving. Your breakthrough has already begun. The shift is not coming. The shift is here. The transfer is not future tense. The transfer has already been set in motion, right now. Even as you listen, heaven is rearranging connections, resources, opportunities, and pathways to align with the mantle you carry. Your name is being spoken in rooms your feet haven't entered yet. Doors are opening in dimensions you have not seen yet. Provision is being sent through channels you don't even know exist yet. Chosen ones, this is your appointed season, your Kairos moment. And in the next segment, I will reveal how to recognize the signs that the supernatural transfer is already unfolding in your life right now, even before it becomes visible to the natural eye. Chosen ones, lean in with your whole spirit now, because what we are stepping into in this moment is not surface-level inspiration, not emotional uplift, not motivational noise. This is spiritual intelligence. This is divine strategy. This is the blueprint of how heaven moves when a supernatural shift and a divine transfer are already unfolding around you. Chosen one, you must understand the sacred truth. Heaven rarely announces breakthrough with fireworks. Heaven announces breakthrough with patterns, subtle shifts, quiet alignments, invisible rearrangements that your spirit feels before your mind understands. And many of you have been feeling it already. The restlessness, the internal stretching, the sudden clarity, the unexpected heaviness, the urge to clean your environment, reset your habits, disconnect from noise, and reorganize your life. That is not stress. That is not just life. That is heaven adjusting your inner atmosphere, because divine transfer cannot flow through cluttered spirits. Before God releases new oil, he reforms the vessel. Before he brings increase, he purifies the environment. Before he manifests the promise, he strengthens the posture of the one receiving it. Chosen ones, let me speak from my own scars and seasons. There were periods in my life when everything felt like it was being dismantled. People I trusted were removed. Opportunities dissolved. Doors that once opened easily suddenly felt sealed shut. I thought I was losing everything. But heaven was preparing me for elevation. The soil of my life was being tilled for harvest. The distractions were being pruned. The noise was being silenced so I could finally hear God clearly. And that is exactly what many of you are experiencing right now. You are not being reduced. You are being refined. You are not being emptied. You are being positioned. 1. Divine disconnection. Chosen ones, heaven disconnects before it promotes. This is why you have felt relationships shift, not because they were bad, but because they were not aligned with where God is taking you. Some people were part of your history, not your destiny. Some connections fed your old season, not your new one. Some hearts were not strong enough to journey with you into financial increase, spiritual elevation, or divine assignment. So do not mourn the exits. Do not grieve the detours. Do not chase what God has released. Their absence is confirmation. Your elevation required it. 2. Heightened spiritual sensitivity. Chosen ones, when heaven is preparing to release a supernatural transfer, your spirit becomes sharper. Suddenly you sense things that once slipped past you. You feel energy shifts. You notice when something is off. You no longer tolerate environments that drain you. You feel guided towards certain decisions and disconnected from others. This is not anxiety. This is discernment. This is heaven fine-tuning your spiritual antennas so that you can steward the breakthrough that is coming. 3. Sudden opportunities appearing from nowhere, chosen ones. When heaven moves, acceleration follows. What once took months now takes days. What once seemed unreachable becomes accessible. People who overlooked you suddenly recognize your value. Ideas flow with supernatural clarity. Some of you have already seen the doors opening in ways that make no logical sense. That is how divine transfer operates. Quietly, powerfully, strategically. 4. Unexplainable peace during uncertain circumstances, chosen ones. One of the greatest signs of elevation is peace that contradicts your reality. Bills may be due, questions may remain unanswered, transitions may feel uncomfortable, but deep within your spirit, there is calm, a knowing, a steady whisper saying, you're exactly where you need to be. That peace is prophetic. It is heaven's seal. It is the echo of divine timing aligning with your destiny. 5. An internal knowing that something big is coming, chosen ones. You feel it. Feel a holy pressure, a sacred expectancy, a deep stirring that tells you life cannot continue the way it has. This is destiny knocking. This is your spirit sensing the approaching shift. This is divine transfer drawing near. 6. The ending of old patterns and cycles, chosen ones. When you are entering a supernatural upgrade, cycles break on their own, habits lose their grip, temptations fade, old fears feel powerless. Even emotional patterns you fought for years suddenly weaken. This is not willpower. This is deliverance. This is heaven clearing internal space for external increase. Chosen ones. All these signs point toward one truth. The supernatural transfer is not coming. It has begun. You are not preparing for breakthrough. You are standing in the doorway of it. And in the next segment, I will reveal the most important part, how to cooperate with heaven, so the divine transfer does not just touch your life, but transforms everything connected to you. Chosen ones, steady your spirit and lean in, because what you are about to hear is not simply more revelation. It is the shift from understanding to activation. This is the moment where heaven takes everything you've learned, everything you've endured, everything you've carried in silence, and aligns it into a divine sequence designed to usher you into a supernatural transfer. This is where prophetic insight becomes spiritual ignition. Chosen one, listen. You are closer to breakthrough than your emotions are telling you. Many of you are just one surrendered response, one obedient step, one aligned decision away from stepping into the very thing heaven has been constructing in the unseen. What feels delayed is actually being orchestrated with precision. Now let's enter the blueprint. 1. Heaven tests stewardship before it releases increase, chosen ones. Every elevation begins with a test. Not to shame you, but to measure capacity. Heaven looks at how you handle small responsibilities, how you respond to inconvenience, how you treat what seems insignificant, how you manage blessings no one sees. Because chosen one, if you mishandle the small, you'll mismanage the large. If you complain while carrying little, you will collapse under the weight of much. And the test rarely looks spiritual. It often appears as little nudges. Clean this space. Call this person. Forgive this wound. Sow this seed. Release this habit. Heaven watches how you steward the ordinary before trusting you with the extraordinary. 2. The transfer begins inside before it appears outside, chosen ones. This is a deep truth. Nothing manifests around you until it first activates within you. Before godly blessing shows up physically, heaven rewires your inner world. Suddenly you feel shifting standards, rising discipline, divine dissatisfaction with old patterns, clarity replacing confusion, purpose awakening in places that felt asleep. This is not mood. It is not coincidence. This is spiritual renovation. Before God places something in your hands, He adjusts what is in your spirit. When your inner world elevates, your outer world begins aligning. This internal reshaping is the first proof that the external blessing is close. 3. Heaven removes counterfeits before releasing the authentic, chosen ones. Supernatural transfer often begins with loss, but not loss meant to harm. Loss meant to purify. You will notice certain friendships fade. Familiar conversations no longer satisfy. Distractions fall away. Environments that once felt comfortable now feel heavy. Do not mourn this. Heaven is clearing spiritual noise. God cannot pour divine clarity into a crowded atmosphere. He removes what dilutes your calling so you can hear Him more clearly. Isolation is not punishment. It is preparation. 4. Angelic activity increases when breakthrough approaches chosen ones. When heaven is moving, heaven's messengers move too. You might notice unusual peace in stressful moments. Vivid dreams, repeated signs, unexpected protection, divine timing events, sudden redirections. These are not random. These are indicators that angelic assistance has been deployed for you. Supernatural transfer always comes with supernatural covering. Whether you feel it or not, chosen one, you are being guided. 5. Your identity must align before your blessing can align chosen ones. Heaven cannot give you what your identity is not ready to carry. This is why certain seasons feel uncomfortable. Heaven is reshaping the way you see yourself. You must begin to see yourself as chosen, trusted, equipped, capable, prepared. If you think small, you will resist big blessings. If you think unworthy, you will sabotage divine opportunities. Identity is the foundation. What you believe about yourself determines what you can carry. 6. Signs the external breakthrough is close chosen ones. When heaven is about to release something major, the atmosphere around you shifts. You will notice people suddenly exiting or entering your life. Divine repositioning. Old dreams resurfacing. Unfinished assignments. A hunger for discipline. Spiritual readiness. Holy discomfort. Your spirit outgrowing your surroundings. Sharper intuition. Increased discernment. These are not signs of instability. They are signs of transition. Heaven is rearranging your environment to match the blessing that's coming. Chosen ones. This is spiritual pregnancy. The closer you get, the stronger the contractions become. The transfer is never just for you. It is through you, chosen ones. This might be the most important truth. God does not bless you only for your own comfort. He blesses you for kingdom purpose. The breakthrough coming to your life shifts your lineage, breaks generational patterns, elevates your family, influences your environment, releases provision that blesses others. Heaven is trusting you with something that will outlive you. You are becoming a vessel of divine flow, not a container that keeps. This is why the process felt heavy, because the blessing is not small. Chosen ones, in the next and final activation, we will step into the moment where revelation becomes reality, where you align, agree, and step into the supernatural transfer heaven has written into your destiny. Chosen ones, as we come to this sacred close, feel the weight of heaven resting on you. This is not the end of a video. This is the activation of your Kairos moment. You are stepping into the very timing God ordained for you, long before your first breath. Just as Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 declares, the vision awaits its appointed time, and that time has now collided with your life. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. The supernatural transfer has already begun. The shift is in motion. The alignment is real. The stirring you feel is confirmation, not imagination. So I speak these blessings over you. May clarity rise where confusion once lived. May courage silence every whisper of fear. May divine peace guard your heart and your steps. May every counterfeit fade and every true alignment stand revealed. May your spirit stay sensitive to the nudges of heaven in the days ahead. Chosen ones, walk now with reverence. Expect divine encounters. Expect holy alignment. Expect doors that were once closed to swing open with precision. If this word touched your spirit, write in the comments, "I step into my Kairos moment." Share this message with the one person God brings to your heart. Go now, chosen one, anointed, aligned, and prepared for what heaven is releasing.